Welcome into the Carolina Crowline. I'm your host, Tyler Garrett. Glad to be with you on another edition of the program, jam-packed edition of the program this week on the Carolina Crowline. We're going to have a little bit of Frank Martin, Auburn game, post-game comments from the coach. We're going to take a look at the week ahead, a couple of pivotal games coming up for the Gamecocks, away at LSU and home versus Vanderbilt. We'll jump into a full and complete breakdown of those and a little bit of comments from the coach post-game. We're going to take a look at the rest of the schedule down the road for the basketball team and see if it's really possible for this first Frank Martin edition of the team to get to the NIT. I'm going to tell you 3 reasons why the USC football team will win the East and 3 reasons why they won't. We're going to take a look. Clowney for Heisman, is that realistic? Stay tuned for all that and more right here on the Carolina Crowline.
Hey, honey.
Hi, Dad.
What you drawing?
It's our house. That's you.
Oh.
Me.
Uh-huh.
Mom and Josh.
Wow.
Playing ball.
You are becoming quite the artist.
When you're a kid, you don't know that home ownership builds communities, that owning a home contributes to higher self-esteem and better test scores. You just know that home is where you play, grow, and learn. The National Association of Realtors wants you to know that home ownership matters to our families, our neighborhoods, and our country. Learn more at houselogic.com/homeownership.
At TurboTax, we know your paycheck is more than a number.
It's covering the register while answering phones.
It's skipping breaks.
And it's eating lunch standing up.
You work hard to earn your money, so we put the power to keep more of it in the palm of your hand. With TurboTax, you can take a photo of your W-2 with your smartphone, and we'll import your information automatically. Just answer a few simple questions, hit e-file, and you're done. TurboTax, the power to keep what's yours. Learn more at TurboTax.com. TurboTax mobile solutions work on select smartphones.
Hate the thought of shopping? All that hassle and can't find what you're looking for anyway? We understand. Retail stores make it difficult. Instead, try www.edistooutdoors.com. Edisto Outdoors features performance apparel and gear engineered for performance, comfort, and style. EdistoOutdoors.com. You'll enjoy the shopping and you'll enjoy the products. Great products from people who care.
The Southeastern Conference has established the most outstanding college football tradition in the country. The 14 member institutions have combined for an unprecedented 459 bowl appearances. Key to the success of SEC football is support of the many loyal fans who have helped the conference lead the nation in total attendance for 29 consecutive years. The SEC salutes the more than 6.5 million fans who will attend a game at an SEC stadium this year.
It was the moment I realized I was about to lose my job.
I found myself searching for pills instead of just being with my family.
At that moment, I finally decided to get help for my addiction to opioids.
The prescription painkillers.
At turntohelpnow.com, you'll learn that opioid dependence is a real medical condition and that there are different ways to get help, including those in a private setting, without the need for daily visits.
That moment led me to turntohelpnow.com.
Make now your moment. Visit turntohelpnow.com today.
Stop pain now. Pain keeps you from enjoying life, or worse, keeps you up at night. Stop pain now with real-time pain relief. The great-smelling topical pain relief cream you can try absolutely free. That's right. Go to painfreeoffer.com and get a free sample with free shipping right now. No credit card needed at painfreeoffer.com. We're so sure it'll work, even if everything else you've tried hasn't. You get a free sample with free shipping. Absolutely no cost to you at painfreeoffer.com. painfreeoffer.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Tyler Garrett. This is the Carolina Crowline. We are glad to be with you talking all things we love, and that is Gamecock sports. What's new, what's shaking, what's going on with the Gamecocks. Number to call, 803-450-0086 if you want to go ahead and jump on the Crowline, 450-0086. You can go ahead and tweet to us. It's at Carolina Crowline, hashtag Crowline. If you are following our live stream of the program, you can go ahead and participate during the show on Spreecast.com, www.spreecast.com. You can go ahead and log on, find the Carolina Crowline, and we can chat, and you can ask questions during the show and have a little bit of listener interaction that way. You can email us, carolina@y'all.com, carolina@y'all.com. And if that wasn't enough, I've got more. You can go ahead and follow us on Facebook, like us at Carolina Crowline. You can go ahead and log on to iTunes and download our podcast edition of the program all the way back to the beginning of the season for free. You can also go to carolina.libsyn.com and you can stream from the internet all of our past editions of the program as well. So a ton of choices for us to interact with each other here on the Carolina Crowline. Let's jump right into it, shall we? We're going to start up with Frank Martin and the basketball program. The Gamecocks fall again to Auburn at home to the score of 74-71. South Carolina now 10-5 on the season, 0-2 in the SEC when you add that loss to the late game heartbreaking loss, 56-54 there late out in Starkville against the Mississippi State Bulldogs. And now you were 10-3 rolling along with your non-conference part of the schedule. When you look at the schedule, losses against St. John's and Clemson, two teams, and Elon, two teams definitely in St. John's and Clemson that you would definitely say are probably have more talent than the Gamecocks, better team-wise than the Gamecocks. Turning your attention towards conference play, however, when you take a look at the beginning of the season with two games against Mississippi State and Auburn, two teams that I think are fair to say that are in the lower tier of the SEC, especially when you take a look at Mississippi State, a team that only has 7 scholarship players on the roster right now, and an Auburn team that has kind of been hovering around the middle to the low end of the pack here in the SEC for the past several years. These were two games that you had to feel good about when you take a look at the schedule in terms of where does it look like the Gamecocks are going to be able to get some victories here in conference play. You definitely had to look at the beginning of the conference schedule and say, I think these are two areas that you could circle the calendar and say, look, if the Gamecocks are going to be successful this year on the hardwood in the SEC, these are definitely two games that I think are winnable games and a way for the team to get some confidence early, especially when you talk about the SEC. Because last year, South Carolina, if you recall, was hit very hard in conference play. You had early season games against Vanderbilt, Kentucky, and Florida that really kind of was the beginning of the end for the Darren Horn era. But again, South Carolina, 24 turnovers against the Bulldogs on January 9th. Frank Martin talked about, and we talked about last week on the program, really having to shore up the turnovers. 14 turnovers this past game against Auburn here at home at the Colonial Life Arena. But this time, the name of the game was defense. South Carolina gave up open looks all night long. South Carolina continued to let Auburn get the ball in deep in the post. And then when you take into consideration that South Carolina just isn't a team with a lot of length so far this year, until we get a Carlton Geathers back healthy onto the floor, R.J. Slauson is your biggest kid at 6'8". So South Carolina is small as basketball teams go, and when you let that ball get in deep, you're going to get into foul trouble. You're going to let guys get easy looks, and then when you collapse on that defense to try and help out, then they're going to go with that inside-out game and just rain the long-range jump shots, and that's exactly what happened to South Carolina. I'm going to go ahead right now and kick it out to Coach Martin, and you can hear his comments here post-game after the loss to the Auburn Tigers.
Well, it's unfortunate that we played a good defensive game on the road and didn't play well offensively and got beat, and now we come home and we play pretty good on offense and not very good on defense and get beat. But like I told the team, the bright side is that we're knocking on the door. We're right there. We're right there, and there's a lot of plays that we can make that we're leaving on the court. Be layups or rebounds that we got to get, simple passes that we got to make, You know, there's a lot of plays that we can make that's 2 games that if we just make one more layup, one more play, we're probably sitting at 2-0 right now. You know, but that's I'm a lot more encouraged than I am discouraged. I think as we continue to fight to learn how to win these kind of games, it's going to be a whole lot of fun when we figure things out.
Frank, when a team is just shooting that well and it just seems like they get into a groove, what can you do on defense? Is it just picking up the switches or just playing tighter? Just what can a defense do to try to knock them out of that groove?
Our defense wasn't any good today. I mean, you know, our defense was – we played hard. Don't misunderstand me. Our kids fought. I'm not selling kids down the road. Our attention to detail defensively wasn't good. And, you know, we let them catch the ball wherever they wanted. They got too many shooters, so when they catch the ball so deep on the floor, number one, it puts a lot of pressure on our post defense. When you're going against a 4-year guy like Rob Chubb that understands, he's been around it, he understands how the game goes. He's you know, and he played that way. Coming down the stretch, he had some big-time plays for them that didn't allow us. We'd be right there to make a play where maybe we can get a 2-possession lead, and he'd come down and make a big-time play, whether it be an offensive rebound or a solid post-up or make a pass. And you know, but our defense wasn't very good today. It just we really tried, but we got away from our principles. And the way we defend, we're not the biggest team in the country. I think you'd agree with that statement. That doesn't make you good or bad. It's just who you are. Our ball pressure and our perimeter defense has to be real good. And today, you know, we gave in as the game wore on, and the pickup point of the ball started coming deeper and deeper on the floor, and then that puts a lot more pressure on the defenders behind you. And we're not big enough to play that way.
Frank, there at the end, the inbounds play at the end, what was happening there? Was Auburn blowing it up, or was something not being executed?
Mindaugas ran to the corner, and I have no idea why.
So there's a little bit from the coach. Again, Auburn was able to shoot 58.5% from the field, and when you add that up, that just does not equal a victory. Stick with us. A little bit more Coach Martin right after the other side of this break on the Carolina Crowline.
Black and garnet is all you see. Pride and ambition and Gamecock traditions, yeah, we're all one big family. Carolina, sweet Carolina, yeah, I'm proud of where I'm from.
All right, welcome back into the Carolina Crowline. Of course, I'm your host, Tyler Garrett. On the front side of that break, we were listening to a little bit of Coach Frank Martin. We talked a little bit about the Auburn Tigers and the Carolina Gamecocks fall 74-71. South Carolina had a chance to tie it with a 3 as time expired, but it was just kind of, if you saw the game, we're watching the game on ESPN3, it was just a disaster of a final play. They tried to get the ball to Bruce Ellington, but not everybody fulfilled their responsibility on that run-out three-point shot, and Bruce was just forced to throw up a three-pointer in the corner of the basketball court with two people in his face, and somebody wasn't doing what they're supposed to. Frank Martin was talking about that last second shot. Again, South Carolina 0-2 in the SEC now after this latest Auburn loss. So we'll finish up with Coach Frank Martin right here.
Frank, there at the end, the inbounds play at the end. What was happening there? Was Auburn blowing it up, or was something not being executed?
Mendagos ran to the corner, and I have no idea why. As you can tell, we put 4 perimeter guys. You know about the very last one?
Yeah.
We put 4 perimeter guys out there, and we ran some dummy action at the beginning just to get them sucked in. And then we sprinted 3 guys backside outside the 3. And the idea was to screen with Eric on Mendagos. If they switch, which is what most people do in that moment of the game, now you got a point guard guarding your 6'8" guy. So we can throw the ball inbounds right at that 12-foot mark. And then he can turn around, and then Bruce popping strong side corner. Now he can turn around and hit Bruce, or he can skip that ball diagonally to the guys that we're setting up. We're also trying to set like a backside flare once the ball came in bounds. But Mendagos ran to the corner. And, once you run to the corner, now you've completely negated the backside action. And now you allow them to do what they did to Bruce in the corner. You congest the three-point line, and, it's unfortunate. But the game, we had plenty of plays in the last 4 minutes, and we wouldn't make them. And we got to learn how to make those plays.
Frank, just to clarify real quick, following up on that and then something else. He was supposed to kind of space out toward the wing a little bit.
Who?
Mendagos.
No, it's supposed to go around that 12-foot short corner right on the baseline right there.
Not so deep.
That way, when you catch it there, now you pressure the backside of the defense with the shooters. And then you isolate everyone over there. Now Bruce steps in behind the 3. Now he's got a chance to, get a shot. But he ran to the corner, so now the whole defense is in the corner. So now how's Bruce going to shoot the ball from the 3 if you're standing outside the 3 in the corner? And then that also negates the backside. So it's a freshman mistake. He'll learn from it.
All right, so there's a little bit of Coach Frank Martin. Look, say what you want about South Carolina. We are not an extremely good team right now, but you just got to love Frank Martin. He's just going to lay it out there to you, bear it all out there. He's going to tell you, look, this kid screwed up, then he screwed up. He's not going to sit there and try and sugarcoat things. And I think you owe it to your basketball team to tell them exactly what they need to do. Sugarcoating it for anybody is not going to do anybody any good. And I think I just said the word anybody about 4 or 5 times, but you're getting the point. You have to be up front. You have to be truthful. I think especially with a men's basketball team and the way you handle young men, it's black or white, this or that, cut and dry. You have to have an immediate response. You either approve or disapprove of what they did. That way it takes all of the guessing out of it, and I think that's just a more successful way to run your program. You can be encouraging, you can be positive, but if something didn't go the way it was supposed to go, you owe it to yourself as a coach, as an educator, or whomever to tell the people that you're in charge of whether or not they did it or they didn't do it, and provide that sort of positive feedback and specific criticism so they know exactly what to do and what not to do next time down the road. Because if you just sit there and huff and puff and say, you're terrible, this is worthless, you're not going to get anywhere. So you just got to love Frank Martin, and the way he's able to communicate with the media is always fun, and with the players as well. If you've been able to come to a game, I don't need to say any more. You know exactly what I mean. But if a few quick stats just to throw it at you from the game. Again, Auburn, 58% from the field. South Carolina, a not too shabby 46% from the field. But again, if you're going to do that, you're going to have to step up the defense. You cannot let a team shoot 60% from the floor and expect to win the game. Auburn also 44% from 3. Again, South Carolina, 40%. Not bad, but you're going to have to back up with that defense to shut down the other team's offense. Not an overall high-scoring game, right in the range that you expect for college. But again, South Carolina was up by 6 with an opportunity to salt this game away, was not able to do it. Bruce Ellington, your high scorer with 18 points. Damian Leonard, who didn't see a lot of playing time before the indefinite suspension or ineligibility of Lachey Page. Now he's on the floor. He had a good offensive game as well. Michael Carrera, again, another freshman, being able to contribute in those kinds of intangible ways with the defense, the leadership, intensity. Not a guy that's going to light it up offensively, but a guy who brings that flair and that passion to the floor and who's going to get everybody up and excited, his teammates, and involved with the rest of the game. Again, when you take a look at the week outlook, South Carolina's next 2 games, you go out to LSU. LSU is a team a lot like South Carolina. 9-4 on the year, 0-2 in the SEC. A first-year coach. They are a guard-heavy team. They run 3 guards. They have a big-time center, a kid who is 7'2", I believe. Yep, 7'2", senior Andrew Dale Piero. A kid, actually, oddly enough, when he first came to LSU, listen to this, was a member of the band, played tuba in the band, wasn't even a scholarship basketball player, but has been on the roster for the past 2 years. He's that big-time presence in the middle, a guy that I think when we talked about South Carolina not being an overly tall team, that South Carolina can really struggle with if they don't keep him out of the lane. If they allow him to get the ball too close to the basket, that's going to be all she wrote. He can just drop, step, pivot, and he's going to be several inches taller than anybody else that we can possibly throw at him, and that could spell foul trouble for the likes of R.J. Slauson. And when he's on the bench, doesn't have that big presence on the inside, I think that could spell a difficult day for Carolina. Calvin Gottfried, the 6'8" forward, is pretty much the star of the team, averaging 13.1 points a game. Stringer is another guy. Andre Stringer, 11 points. Hickey is another guy, 11 points. Those are your 2 guards, shorter guards. So, again, South Carolina looking to get off the schneid here in the SEC. When you take a look at the schedule, LSU, I believe, is another winnable game. LSU is also a team that lost to Auburn. So Auburn surprisingly on the upswing here when you talk about SEC basketball overall as a conference, down for the season. I think Florida is your top team here in the SEC. Kentucky not experiencing the runaway success with the freshmen that they are used to. However, definitely a tournament team. Florida, I think you look at them, they're a tournament team. Arkansas, I believe, is going to be a tournament team. Alabama is potentially a tournament team. Vanderbilt, the next game after LSU here at home at the Colonial Life Arena, also a winnable game. Vanderbilt, not the team from the past that you are used to. Vanderbilt hung tight with Kentucky but got blown out 56-33 in their second conference game at Arkansas. Kind of a downswing of talent. All those big boys down low and those three-point shooters from Vanderbilt are gone now. A team that, in my opinion, is not going to make the NCAA tournament. So there are winnable games here on the schedule when you take a look at the first leg of conference play. South Carolina not successful in the first 2 games, but you heard Frank Martin talk about it. They are moving in the right direction. You can see steady improvement as we go, because I tell you what, it's going to get tough in a hurry, because after Vanderbilt, you travel up to Missouri, one of the top teams in the country, home to another Arkansas team that is very tough, Florida that I just talked about, home to Georgia, and then out to Kentucky. So you're going to close out January and start off February with a lot of tough games. And when you take a look at the rest of the schedule, you just have to ask yourself, where are the wins going to come from? You get Vanderbilt twice. You might be able to split those. LSU, you get them twice. If you can split those, you're looking good. Maybe steal one at Ole Miss, steal one against Georgia, one of the 2 times you're going to play Georgia. You're going to need about 6 more wins to even hope for an NIT berth. So some ground needs to be made up. South Carolina has dug themselves into a hole early, and you got to ask yourself, if you're Frank Martin, if you're a fan of the Gamecocks, is an NIT berth, falling short of an NIT berth, somewhat of a disappointment? And really, in my opinion, you ask me, I'm going to give you the answer, and the answer is no, because we know with the transfer of Anthony Gill up to Virginia and Damian, what's his name? The kid who transferred down to Florida, who played for us last year. I'm total blank. I'll get to it here in just a second. But these are 2 guys that Frank Martin was really counting on to kind of put us over the hump and get some momentum into his first year. But with those guys gone, the cupboard's a little bit bare here at the University of South Carolina. Help is on the way here. We got some big-time guys committed to the program out of the state of South Carolina and some more on the way. So it's looking bright, but you just got to have to tear it down before you can build it back up again. I'm Tyler Garrett. This is the Carolina Crowline. We'll be right back.
Ladies, are any of these symptoms familiar? Weight gain, hot flashes, rapid heartbeat, night sweats? How about fatigue, nausea, low energy? Or what about sleeplessness, low libido, and fat storage, especially around the belly area? If you're a woman over 40 experiencing any of these symptoms, you probably have hormonal imbalance. And until you balance your hormones, it'll be practically impossible to get rid of these problems. But you're in luck because Amberen is the all-natural formula clinically shown to cause sustained weight loss in women over 40 with no big change in lifestyle. Amberen restores hormonal imbalance in women over 40, so the extra pounds fall away and the other symptoms simply disappear. To receive a complimentary risk-free trial with a free 30-day supply, just be one of the first 50 callers right now at 1-800-510-3558. Free supplies are limited, so be one of the first callers right now at 1-800-510-3558. That's 1-800-510-3558.
This is a referral service. Calls will be routed to an independent referral insurance agency.
Do you know the number one cause of bankruptcy? No, it's not losing your job or running up credit card debt. It's not even divorce. It's medical costs. If you and your family don't have health insurance, just one serious illness or accident could be financially devastating. But now there's good news, really good news. A health insurance hotline has been established to provide health insurance for all Americans, even uninsured Americans with pre-existing conditions. Now anyone can get health insurance even if you have a pre-existing medical condition. I repeat, now anyone can get health insurance coverage. Call now for a free no-obligation quote on affordable health plans available to you. Again, this is a free hotline for anyone, even if you have pre-existing conditions. Protect you and your family from sudden unexpected medical costs. Call the free health insurance hotline right now at 1-800-838-5562. That's 1-800-838-5562. Call 1-800-838-5562.
Hate the thought of shopping? All that hassle and can't find what you're looking for anyway? We understand. Retail stores make it difficult. Instead, try www.edistooutdoors.com. Edisto Outdoors features performance apparel and gear engineered for performance, comfort, and style. EdistoOutdoors.com. You'll enjoy the shopping and you'll enjoy the products. Great products from people who care.
We scoop the boot. DutyCalls.com. When nobody else will do it. DutyCalls.com. To make that dog poop go away, call or click for a free quote today.
When nature calls, we answer. To get a free quote for dog poop removal, go to DutyCalls.com now.
DOODYCALLS. DutyCalls.com.
In the Midlands area, dial 1-800-DUTY-CALLS. They're number one and number two.
All right, welcome back into the Carolina Crowline. Tyler Garrett, that's me, your host of the Carolina Crowline. 803-450-0086 is the number to get on the Carolina Crowline and tell us your thoughts and opinions about Frank Martin. How is he doing in his first year as a basketball coach? Are you surprised we're 0-2 in the SEC? Do you think he's the answer here to try and awake the sleeping giant that is South Carolina basketball, a team that experienced tournament success here in the 90s, experienced success in the 60s, but other than that, you know, it's been pretty quiet. South Carolina, it's not been a very proud history here for basketball, so hopefully Frank Martin is the man. You know, I had people ask me, you know, he left a perennial tournament team in Kansas State to come to Columbia, South Carolina, and coach this team. What's wrong with that guy? And, you know, I think he's almost doing it much in the same vein as Steve Spurrier came to South Carolina. He sees potential. He sees a school and a program that has a lot of the parts. I think he sees a program that under the right coaching and players can be successful. And those are the exact same reasons I think Steve Spurrier came. Steve Spurrier spoke on the Tim Brando show, I guess what was it, a couple days ago on Friday, and he was talking to Tim Brando about it. Coaching is all about is all about timing. It's all about opportunity. And he was looking to get back into the SEC. He was looking for a challenge for maybe a team that had potential, that had the parts, that maybe just wasn't quite going about it the right way, but a team that could accomplish things if it was just moving in the right direction. And he was looking for a job. South Carolina had an opportunity here, and he thought it was a no-brainer to come to the University of South Carolina. And I think we all agree that since he has come here, and I say this almost every episode, this is the golden age of Carolina football right now. It has never reached the heights that it is currently at, and I think you can look no further than Steve Spurrier and what he's been able to do here at the University of South Carolina. So right now he's proved himself correct, and if Frank Martin can achieve 75%, half of that success, at least just get the team into the tournament, for crying out loud. Heaven forbid even winning a game in the tournament. I think South Carolina and the fan base, I think those rear ends would get into the Colonial Life Arena, put those people back in the seats, give us a chance to compete in the SEC, and I think that's all you really need, because I guarantee you, as passionate as South Carolina is about football, if you can get them into the Colonial Life Arena, you will see that same thing in basketball, and I think people will be happy. We don't need to be making Sweet 16s and Final Fours, but if you can just move in the right direction, show some progress, which is something that Darren Horde never did, never showed any progress. When you take a look at Darren Horn, you're talking about a guy who was 0-for against the Southern Conference, never beat a team in the Southern Conference. College of Charleston, Wofford, Elon. I mean, come on. You can't beat the Southern Conference. You're not going to be able to win in the SEC. Of course, Frank Martin didn't win in his first Southern Conference game against Elon either, but hey, we'll give him a mulligan on that one. Hopefully he won't make us look dumb here later on down the road. But that's enough basketball talk here on this edition of the Crowline. Let's turn our attention to football, and I want to talk to you a little bit about South Carolina next year, looking ahead to next year. I'm going to give you 3 reasons why South Carolina is going to win the SEC East and represent the East in Atlanta for the SEC championship game. And then I'm going to give you 3 reasons why they will not make it to the SEC championship game in Atlanta. All right, so here you go. Here's the first reason why they will make it to the SEC championship game. Offensive line. Offensive line was a part of the team this year that was a struggle. You had one senior in TJ Johnson as the center. Everybody else was either a freshman or a sophomore. They've had a year to play together. They have gotten bigger. They've gotten stronger. They've gotten that SEC experience under their belt. When you take a look at Brandon Shell, the 4-star tackle out of Charleston, South Carolina. Corey Robinson, a 6'8 guy who is the left tackle right now. A.J. Cann, Ronald Patrick, your 2 guards. You're going to have to find a replacement for T.J. Johnson. Obviously, that looks like that is going to be none other than Cody Waldrop is going to be the heir apparent there at center coming into spring practice. That is a unit that has survived the baptism by fire. And when you talk about road games to Florida, you talk about road games to LSU, you talk about games against Clemson, talk about games against Georgia. Georgia, a defense that many people said was going to have 4 or 5 NFL draft picks on that defense this year. These are guys that have gotten bigger. They've gotten stronger. They are going to be able to improve with their run blocking next year. They already have the pass blocking down. So if they develop that run block, that year of experience, you're talking about a unit that was a source of weakness has now become a source of strength. That is reason number 1 that South Carolina will be able to win the SEC. Reason number 2, South Carolina will be able to win the SEC next year, the scheduling. When you take a look at the scheduling, South Carolina avoids teams like LSU. They avoid Alabama. They avoid Texas A&M. You have a road game against the Dogs that sticks out. You have a road game against Missouri that sticks out. Your season opener is at home in Columbia against the North Carolina Tar Heels. I think that's a reason to be concerned. Of course, you go on the road to Arkansas, a team that will be rebuilding, but you do get Florida at home. So you're looking at a schedule that I think sets up very favorably when you take a look at the other schedules in the East. Georgia has to play Clemson. They have to play LSU in Athens. Of course, they have to play the Gators in Jacksonville. Florida has to play LSU out there in Baton Rouge. So I think the schedule sets up nicely. If South Carolina can get through their non-conference schedule and beat Florida, that's right, you heard me correctly. I didn't say Georgia, I said and beat Florida. I think South Carolina will represent the SEC East in Atlanta. Because here's the facts. South Carolina hasn't done so hot here against beating Georgia. You beat Georgia, everybody says, oh, the key to the East is beating Georgia. Well, guess what? You beat Georgia the last 3 years in a row, and that really hasn't meant very much when you talk about winning the SEC. So you know what? I'd trade in a win against Georgia for a representation in the SEC East any day. We're going to hop out to a quick break here, and then on the other side, we'll finish up the 3 reasons why and the 3 reasons why we won't be in Atlanta.
Early Monday morning to Friday at 5, man, I work, but I don't climb. Boss man can shove that overtime up his can. All I wanna do is put a drink in my hand. To fill it up, I'll throw it down.
At TurboTax, we know your paycheck is more than a number.
It's juggling school and work.
It's paying my dues on the job.
And it's pulling all-nighters when I need to.
You work hard to earn your money, and we want to help you stretch every dollar. That's why TurboTax lets you file your simple federal return for free. It's free to prepare, print, e-file, and you can even chat with a tax expert. TurboTax, the power to keep what's yours. Get the federal free edition at TurboTax.com. Live tax help service is subject to availability, restrictions, and change without notice. See TurboTax.com for details.
It was the moment I realized I was about to lose my job.
I found myself searching for pills instead of just being with my family.
At that moment, I finally decided to get help from my addiction to opioids.
The prescription painkillers.
At turntohelpnow.com, you'll learn that opioid dependence is a real medical condition and that there are different ways to get help, including those in a private setting, without the need for daily visits.
That moment led me to turntohelpnow.com.
Make now your moment. Visit turntohelpnow.com today.
Hey, honey.
Hi, Dad.
What you drawing?
It's our house. That's you.
Oh.
Me.
Huh?
Mom and Josh.
Wow.
Playing ball.
You are becoming quite the artist.
When you're a kid, you don't know that home ownership builds communities, that owning a home contributes to higher self-esteem and better test scores. You just know that home is where you play, grow, and learn. The National Association of Realtors wants you to know that home ownership matters to our families, our neighborhoods, and our country. Learn more at houselogic.com/homeownership.
Stop pain now. Pain keeps you from enjoying life, or worse, keeps you up at night. Stop pain now with real-time pain relief, the great-smelling topical pain relief cream you can try absolutely free. That's right. Go to painfreeoffer.com and get a free sample with free shipping right now. No credit card needed at painfreeoffer.com. We're so sure it'll work, even if everything else you've tried hasn't. You get a free sample with free shipping, absolutely no cost to you, at painfreeoffer.com. painfreeoffer.com.
All right, we are back here on the Carolina Crowline. We're in the middle of talking about the SEC and why South Carolina will and will not win the SEC starting next year in 2013. I've given 2 reasons why. One reason why we won't is right here, the schedule. I think that's another reason why we'll not win the SEC East, because if you take a look at the schedule, and South Carolina has no room for error. You talk about out-of-conference games against, you go down to Orlando and play UCF. UCF, a team that is no slouch. They might be in a lower conference, a non-automatic qualifier, but George O'Leary has those guys playing some football. That is a team that is not to be taken lightly. You have North Carolina that has revenge on their minds coming back down to Columbia to get revenge for the victory up in Chapel Hill in 2007 after they bailed out on us to play LSU there at the beginning of the year in Atlanta in 2008. You've got Clemson, of course. They are here at home. South Carolina looking to go 5 in a row there. How long can South Carolina really beat Clemson consecutively before Clemson gets one back? Can it be 5? Can it be 6? It's going to have to end sometime, and if the Gamecocks aren't careful with Taj Boyd coming back as a senior, it might be this year. You've got a game out in Athens. You've been successful in Athens last year. However, Aaron Murray's coming back. The offensive line is getting stronger. You have those 2 stud running backs there in the backfield. How much better can the South Carolina offense get, or excuse me, the Georgia offense get? Will they be able to rebound with the defense? We'll have to see. We know how Florida is on defense. If they get that offense turned around, then it could be a long, long season for Florida in terms of continuing the momentum that they had ending the season here. I know that you get the Gators here at home, but look, these people, this team is no joke. Again, you do avoid Alabama, you do avoid LSU, but you go back out to Arkansas. Arkansas is a team that has had the Gamecocks number here within the past 4 or 5 years. South Carolina's win last year puts to bed a 3-game winning streak by the Razorbacks. So there are still places to trip up here in this schedule if South Carolina is not careful. Here's another reason why South Carolina will win the SEC. Quarterback play. I don't think there's any doubt that Gamecock Nation did not see Dylan Thompson coming. We know what Connor Shaw can do with running the ball with that read option and mixing in the pass. The question on everybody's mind is he going to be able to stay injury-free? And if he does or does not, how is that going to affect the quarterback play of Dylan Thompson? I think you saw a good mix here in the Outback Bowl with Dylan Thompson and Connor Shaw coming in, spelling each other here and there. Does Steve Spurrier go to this and kind of play the matchup game with defenses? We know Connor Shaw's health has always kind of been in question. He was dinged up for most of the year, all year long, and Dylan Thompson has been able to come in and be that man. Is Connor Shaw even going to start the beginning of the season? Either way you look at it, I think we have 2 very capable quarterbacks here at the University of South Carolina, something that I don't think we've ever really been able to say, especially since Steve Spurrier has been here. So that's reason number 3 why South Carolina will win the SEC East. Here's reason number 3 why South Carolina will not win the SEC East. Look no further than the running backs. Yes, the running backs. Again, we've talked about the offensive line, and I'm predicting that the offensive line will be a source of strength for the University of South Carolina. However, if it is not a source of strength for the University of South Carolina, then who's going to run the ball? You obviously need to be a 5-star running back to be able to have any success, at least this season and last season, running the football. Marcus Lattimore is not walking back through that door. So you've got Mike Davis. He'll be a sophomore next year, a 4-star running back, the younger brother of James Davis, the very renowned and famous Clemson running back. You've got Brandon Wilds, who came in last year and had 3 100-yard rushing games to fill in for Lattimore, who redshirted this year with injury. You've got Sharton Carson, kind of that speed, change of pace back, healthy and ready to go for next year. So you have a deep stable of running backs. The question is, if they cannot come in and take over a football game, the defenses that face South Carolina will load up on the pass, try and flush Connor Shaw out of the pocket, and bring him down. And I think that could spell a very, very long season here for the University of South Carolina if they are not careful. So there you have it. 3 reasons yes and 3 reasons no. These are the reasons that I think South Carolina will win the SEC, is capable of winning the SEC East, but if some things don't fall the way South Carolina needs to, if a running back doesn't step up, if the schedule does not unfold like how we want it to, there are other things I thought about. If the offensive line does turn out to be a disappointment, we lose a lot in the defensive secondary. If those guys can't plug and play, then it could be a very, very long season for the University of South Carolina. But I think the potential is there. I think you have to ask yourself, how much longer is Steve Spurrier going to coach? Every time he's asked that question, he says, well, I feel good, maybe about 4 or 5 years or this, that, the other, or something like that. But the time is going to run out here sooner or later, and you have to think it's probably going to be sooner. Literally, I would say 4 or 5 more years. I would be ecstatic if Steve Spurrier was here 4 or 5 more years. I just don't know if that's going to happen. And then ask yourself, Gamecock fans, Steve Spurrier wins the SEC East next year. Is that going to be all she wrote for the old ball coach? You know, that's just a question you have to ask yourself. So Clowney's year next year will be all likelihood his very last year. Coming up on the other side of the break, we'll talk about what he has to do to win the Heisman. Does he have a legitimate shot to actually win the Heisman Trophy, or is this just a bunch of convenient talk by ESPN? We all know the hit kind of put him on the map in the nation here at the bowl game, but what kind of steam does he need to have at the beginning of the year, and can he really accomplish this? Stick with us right here on the Carolina Crowline, and you'll get your answer.
Ladies, are any of these symptoms familiar? Weight gain, hot flashes, rapid heartbeat, night sweats? How about fatigue, nausea, low energy? Or what about sleeplessness, low libido, and fat storage, especially around the belly area? If you're a woman over 40 experiencing any of these symptoms, you probably have hormonal imbalance. And until you balance your hormones, it'll be practically impossible to get rid of these problems. But you're in luck, because Amberen is the all-natural formula clinically shown to cause sustained weight loss in women over 40 with no big change in lifestyle. Amberen restores hormonal imbalance in women over 40, so the extra pounds fall away and the other symptoms simply disappear. To receive a complimentary risk-free trial with a free 30-day supply, just be one of the first 50 callers right now at 1-800-510-3558. Free supplies are limited, so be one of the first callers right now at 1-800-510-3558. That's 1-800-510-3558.
This is a referral service. Calls will be routed to an independent referral insurance agency.
Do you know the number one cause of bankruptcy? No, it's not losing your job or running up credit card debt. It's not even divorce. It's medical costs. If you and your family don't have health insurance, just one serious illness or accident could be financially devastating. But now there's good news, really good news. A health insurance hotline has been established to provide health insurance for all Americans, even uninsured Americans with pre-existing conditions. Now anyone can get health insurance even if you have a pre-existing medical condition. I repeat, now anyone can get health insurance coverage. Call now for a free no-obligation quote on affordable health plans available to you. Again, this is a free hotline for anyone, even if you have pre-existing conditions. Protect you and your family from sudden unexpected medical costs. Call the free health insurance hotline right now at 1-800-838-5562. That's 1-800-838-5562. Call 1-800-838-5562.
Hate the thought of shopping? All that hassle and can't find what you're looking for anyway? We understand. Retail stores make it difficult. Instead, try www.edistooutdoors.com. Edisto Outdoors features performance apparel and gear engineered for performance, comfort, and style. EdistoOutdoors.com. You'll enjoy the shopping and you'll enjoy the products. Great products from people who care.
We scoop the boot. DutyCalls.com. When nobody else will do it. DutyCalls.com. To make that dog poop go away, call or click for a free quote today.
When nature calls, we answer. To get a free quote for dog poop removal, go to DutyCalls.com now.
DOODYCALLS. DutyCalls.com.
In the Midlands area, dial 1-800-DUTY-CALLS. They're number 1 and number 2.
Welcome back into the Carolina Crowline. That is what you are listening to if you are listening to us live as we stream the Carolina Crowline on Spreecast.com. This is a John C. Calhoun radio network. We are associated with CRM Sports. This is the Carolina Crowline. Ask for it in your local radio market if you cannot get it. Of course, I guess you could always get on Spreecast here on Monday evenings for our live edition of the program, www.spreecast.com. Of course, you can always download our podcast for free on iTunes. You can also email us, carolina@y'all.com, carolina@y'all.com. Follow us on Twitter at Carolina Crowline, hashtag Crowline, or go ahead and like us on Facebook. That's where you're going to get that and Twitter, all your updates over the course of the week on recruiting, what's going on with basketball, any football news, women's basketball. Baseball is coming up. I've got my 2010 National Championship baseball T-shirt on right now. That's a month away. Recruiting signing day is coming up at the beginning of February. So the news cycle for Gamecock Sports never, ever stops. So go ahead and like us on Facebook. That's where you'll get the links for our Spreecast streaming editions of the program as well. All right, we are on the final segment of the program, and we're going to turn our attention towards one Jadeveon Clowney, of course, burst onto the scene here as the number one recruit in America as coming out of high school as a senior, South Point High School in Rock Hill, committed to Carolina, could have had his pick from every school in the country, but chose the Gamecocks. Played sparingly, I would say, as a freshman last year, but really took over the ownership of that right side defensive end position and wreaked havoc all year long. Finished 6th in voting of the Heisman Trophy this year, and I've done some kind of research. I've done some thinking about it, and if this stuff, all the hype that Clowney is getting, all the Heisman campaign and this, that, and the other, if this is really going to be something that is going to be realistic, I think there's a couple of things that need to happen for Clowney to realize this, as far off as it is. And by the way, I think Vegas odds for Clowney winning the Heisman Trophy opened at 12-1. I believe. If that's correct, you might have to check my facts on that. But I think Clowney winning the Heisman opened up right now, currently sitting at 12-1. But I think he's going to have to break the record for tackles for loss in a season. He's either going to have to break the single-season sack record, maybe interceptions for a defensive lineman, or forced fumbles. Okay, when you take a look at Clowney's stats so far, 23.5 tackles for loss this season. He had 13 sacks this season. He had 5 forced fumbles his freshman year, only 3 this year. So when you take a look at the record book, Jason Babin is currently the record holder for single-season tackles for loss at 32. So Clowney's about 10 off that pace. From his sophomore year, single-season sack record, Terrell Suggs set in 2002. He set that record at 24. Again, Clowney 13 this year. Can he reach that? I think, especially when you have SEC offensive lines game planning for Clowney, I think it's going to be very, very difficult for him to be able to get that. Right now, single-season forced fumbles, 10. Elvis Dumerville out of Louisville. Again, those are guys that are in the NFL right now. Jason Babin was with the Eagles. I think he may have gotten cut. Of course, Suggs with the Ravens, and Dumerville with the recently departed Denver Broncos. But Clowney is going to have to set his sights on some very lofty goals if he wants to be the kind of guy that can really make a true push for the Heisman Trophy. If that's something that he can do, one of the main components, I think, in order for this to happen is I think other people on the defensive line for South Carolina are really going to have to step up to take some of that pressure off him. When you take a look at Parade All-American defensive tackle Kelsey Quarles, when you take a look at Chaz Sutton, who has been a backup for Clowney that will be replacing Devin Taylor next year on the opposite side of that line, when you take a look at Phillip Dukes, or Gerald Dixon Jr. that will be replacing Byron Gerardo as the other senior defensive tackle that left now that this football season has wrapped up. I think you're really going to have to take some pressure off of Clowney. Just watch the Outback Bowl. You're talking about the left tackle, the tight end chipping on him, and then you've got the running back chipping on him. Triple teamed. If you look at that last Hail Mary at the Outback Bowl for Michigan, Clowney literally was triple teamed on that play, and he's going to expect to see a lot more of that as the season wears on. So somebody is going to have to step up, take the pressure off of him. South Carolina is going to have to find a way to move him around and do what he needs to do to be able to wreak havoc along offensive lines here, and that's just the bottom line. I think 12-1 right now. I think Vegas is just begging you. It's just begging you to bet some money on Clowney. I just don't know if it's really going to happen. Is it possible? Absolutely, I think it's possible. Is it going to happen? I just don't think it's going to happen. That's our show, folks. Thank you for sticking with us right here on the Carolina Crowline. I am your host, Tyler Garrett. Glad to be with you, doing what I love, talking about what I love to talk about, and that's the Gamecocks. Meet us right back here, same time on Monday for another edition of the Carolina Crowline.